So I've been talking about the trials, tribulations, and tragedies of the Green Lantern Corps' first 4 original Green Lanterns of Earth, not including Alan Scott because he's not affiliated with this crew. And now we've gone on to the next Green Lantern, Guy Gardner, the honor guard of the Green Lantern Corps, Mr. Take No Shit himself, and the toughest Green Lantern of the Green Lantern Corps. When most people think of Guy Gardner, they think of that fuck-ass bowl haircut and how he's obnoxious, loud, quick to temper, but no one analyzes why that's the case. He has a very good reason because he's faced a lot of tribulations, 3 main ones. The first one being luck and timing being horrible for this man. In Green Lantern Volume 1, issue number 59, we find out that when Abin Sur crashed, there were 2 candidates to replace him, Hal Jordan and Guy Gardner. Hal Jordan got it because he was closer. This all comes to light when Hal Jordan is shown a machine by the Guardians of the Universe that shows someone's thoughts after death. And the machine can even show him what it would have been like if the other guy got it, the other guy being Guy Gardner, a high school gym teacher. The machine even shows some of the adventures that Guy Gardner would have went on had he got the ring. Hal Jordan's like, you know what? I fuck with this guy, and with the Guardians' permission, he goes and meets up with Guy Gardner at a men's health club. Also, can I just say, him being a PE teacher is fucking great. You out here laying out the wrestling match before class and climbing the rope, and then you get a Green Lantern ring. That is wild work, but hey, that's the Silver Age. Hal and Guy become friends. We're gonna come back to that later on. And whenever Hal's incapacitated, then Guy Gardner steps in as the backup Green Lantern for Earth. And it's done for a short while because there was a kid that was in danger of getting hit by a bus. Guy Gardner saved the kid, but he got hit by the bus and he was placed into a coma for a number of years, which is why John Stewart became the new backup and then eventually the second Green Lantern. And thanks to Steve Englehart, who was writing Green Lantern at the time, this is where we get more than one Green Lantern, which eventually leads to us seeing more Green Lanterns and the entire creation of the Green Lantern Corps. So now you're Guy Gardner and you finally get to be back up to Hal Jordan again. Okay. He goes on a mission as stand-in for Hal Jordan when Hal Jordan has a defective power battery. It gets left behind with Green Arrow, who he was teaming with at the time. Guy Gardner shows up and he's like, yo, I'm supposed to be teaming with you. Now, Green Arrow has seen Hal charge his ring mad times. He saw that something was not right here, but thought he just imagined it. Hal Jordan goes to Oa and he finds out that, oh, there's something defective with this power battery. Guy Gardner, after his adventure with Green Arrow, takes that power battery. Hal comes back and tells Ollie, yeah, there was some shit going on with my power battery. It was defective. And Ollie's like, oh man, I thought I imagined that though. I thought like, I guess I knew it before I even knew it was actually a thing. Oh yeah, by the way, Guy Gardner took it. Hal's like, oh fuck, no, this ain't good. And he goes to Guy Gardner. Guy Gardner's already charging his ring. The power battery explodes and it traps him in the Phantom Zone. Now this happens in Green Lantern Volume 2, issue number 116. In Green Lantern Volume 2, issue number 122, Hal Jordan's about to get married to Guy Gardner's girlfriend. I'm sorry, what the fuck? And the fact that he's rocking his uniform to the wedding too, mask and all. This is the wildest shit I've ever seen. The reason it gets broken up is because Guy Gardner's able to get a faint message out. Guy Gardner's girl hears it and then like freaks out about it, and then they go to find out where the source came from. One of the wildest parts to me of this issue is that, yo, Guy Gardner's girl understandably freaked out and she like passes out and she's saying Guy's name. Green Arrow's like, oh man, she's saying that guy's name. Huh. Good thing Hal's not here to hear it. I guess she never got over him getting lost. Yo, what do you... It's been like 8 issues, dog. Come to find out that Guy Gardner was stuck in the Phantom Zone after the Green Lantern power battery exploded, and he was there being tortured by the folks that were in prison in the Phantom Zone. Sinestro was also involved because when isn't he? But anyway, Hal gets Guy out the Phantom Zone, and he's got brain damage, a severe case after being in there for so long and tortured as well. Guy's girl Kari comes and sees, and she gets back with Guy. And it's after this issue that we see a change in Guy Gardner, where he's become a lot more aggressive. This is where he becomes obnoxious and known as a jerk, but also this dude's suffering brain damage. No one ever thought to get that shit checked out. When you take a look at his change outside of comics, it's the 80s. I think they needed someone that was rebellious and like the tough guy of the group, and he was always at odds with all the other members of the Green Lantern Corps, especially Hal Jordan all the time. The only reason Guy Gardner even gets a ring is because there's a split within the Guardians of the Universe. If you take the time to look at Guy Gardner's history so far, you can understand why he's so frustrated. My man gets passed over the chance of being the first Green Lantern of Earth of the Green Lantern Corps because he wasn't close enough, because he was a Greyhound bus away. But then he gets to be the backup for Green Lantern Hal Jordan, but then he gets hit by a bus, left in a coma. Now there's a new guy that's taking that place. But fine, I get to be a backup to Hal Jordan again. But thanks to a defective Green Lantern power battery, I now get transferred to a fucking prison, the Phantom Zone, and then I get tortured, and then I come out with brain damage after being tortured in there? Timing and luck have been kicking this man's ass. And when Guy starts being mad obnoxious and having all this bravado, he's just really difficult to work with. He's getting in his own fucking way. In my eyes, he was knocked out of being the first Green Lantern, the second Green Lantern, and he was relegated to being the third Green Lantern. And he's trying to prove himself. He wants to show he can lead a team, but ain't nobody listening to him because he's a fucking ass. But there are folks that are not afraid to put him in their place, like Batman. Guy Gardner joined the Justice League International team. He collided with Batman and butted heads with him a lot, and he was constantly antagonizing Batman too. But you know Batman, dude's always calm. He don't give a shit, and he kept putting Guy in his place repeatedly. He's punking this man out on the regular. Guy keeps calling Captain Marvel white bread and Batman made him apologize. Dog. Might as well call that man daddy. That man your daddy now. And the problem arises when this man thinks he can challenge his daddy. Guy thinks he should be leading the team, and he wants Batman to get the fuck up out of here. Batman ain't getting the fuck up out of here. He's gonna stay right here, as a matter of fact, because he thinks that's a horrible idea. And Guy Gardner ain't got no back down in him. He pushes the issue, takes off his ring, saying he can settle this with Batman right here, right now. After Marvel tried to step in like, hey guys, maybe this isn't the best course of action that we can take, Batman's like, move. Batman told that man boy, I know what I'm doing. Now, Guy, I believe there's something you wanted to do, correct? Gardner was talking that cash shit. Batman said, you all bark and no bite. He's like, well, I'm about to bite your fucking legs off. I bite all right. And then he went to throw a punch at Batman, but Batman already punched this dude in the face. He's out on the ground. Cold. And when I say out, I'm talking baseball, but not the dugout. I mean out. I mean blackout. I mean lights out. I mean he didn't get a chance to tap out. That man lost his mind and Batman helped him find it on the floor. Now what makes this matter worse is that Blue Beetle Ted Kord is there, right? He's watching and he's dying laughing. One punch. That becomes important for later. Black Canary runs in like, oh my god, what happened? Yo, Batman punched Guy Gardner and I missed it? Martian Manhunter comes in smiling. No one is upset about this and they leave that man there on the floor and continue the meeting. And what's worse is Guy Gardner wakes up hours later, I assume, trying to figure out what happened and go and look for his ring. Dude looks pathetic as fuck right now. Sure, it's a dope moment for Batman to show how strong he is and everything, but it comes at the expense of Guy Gardner. Here's the problem. In situations like these, one person looks weaker. In wrestling, there's a term called being buried. Batman just did that to Guy Gardner, and it hurts Guy Gardner because he's not as popular as Batman. Batman could get hit like that, and it will not affect him because he's fucking Batman. No one will lose respect for Batman, and will make the person that punched him look bigger because like, yo, you're doing that shit to Batman? But Guy Gardner doesn't have the popularity of Batman. He doesn't have the star power of Batman at this moment. All it does is make him look weak. And this becomes a running trope for years. And yes, Guy Gardner deserves to be put in this place. But if you don't give him something that makes him bounce back, then he stays in that place. He stays a joke, a literal punchline. And for years, it's always synonymous. Whenever someone gets knocked out, someone else is in the background saying, oh my god, one punch, one punch, alluding back to the time Guy Gardner got his shit rocked. Batman even tells Superman and Wonder Woman about it, and Superman's like, oh man, you can't be doing that, man. He's like a bee's nest. You can't. It felt good, didn't it? Black Canary faxed over a photograph of it, and Batman tells him how everybody else seemed to enjoy it. John was even smiling, and then he reenacts the punch for them. And here we see Guy Gardner kind of tumble through the 80s. He gets its own series where he's no longer a Green Lantern anymore. He's using Sinestro's old yellow power ring, and then Guy discovers he's part alien, Voldarian. And now he's got powers. He becomes a Green Lantern again once Green Lantern Rebirth happened. That story where Kyle Rayner got Hal Jordan's body back and found out about Parallax and shit, and it reignites the Green Lantern Corps. And it's got to be noted that during that Green Lantern Rebirth story, there's a moment where Hal Jordan's back, he's with Kyle, John Stewart, and Guy Gardner, and they're gonna go fix this problem with Parallax. Batman's holding Hal Jordan up, and he ain't got time to explain shit, so he punches Batman and flattens him on his ass. Guy Gardner's in the back, laughing, shouting, oh, one punch, one punch. Guy Gardner's waiting 18 years to get that off. So now your boy's got a Green Lantern ring again, he's back in the Green Lantern Corps, and it's during the Sinestro Corps war that he really proves himself here, that he finally shows, yo, I ain't no fucking Punchline. Guy's been helping train the new recruits, and it all leads up into this war. In this wartime that we see Guy Gardner shine, and we see all these different relationships that he's been building up with these new Lanterns come to fruition, and we see him get closer with the Lanterns of Earth as well. Before, Guy Gardner didn't really have any love for John Stewart. He even laughed when he heard about Cop Matui being killed by Star Sapphire. It was the 80s, and the writing could have been a lot better for him as a character. And when John Stewart was going through his whole Master Builder thing, we see how Guy Gardner saw John Stewart. He didn't really have any love for your boy. That's all changed now. Relationships change when you guys survive some shit. This is trauma bonding, baby. But also, he had John Stewart's back, and John Stewart had his. So much so that when they're getting one of their enemies the fuck up out of here, Guy Gardner realizes, yo, I'm starting to see double. We gotta hurry this shit up, John. And as they complete their mission, Guy Gardner is about to die because there's a Sinestro Corps member that acts as a virus. I think his name is Despotellis. It's the same virus that was used to kill Kyle Rayner's mom. However, there's a Green Lantern that's a smallpox vaccine. They get him the fuck up out of here. And it's here where we see Guy Gardner have a stronger relationship with John Stewart and Kyle Rayner as well, especially after the war, where Kyle Rayner and Guy Gardner are serving as honor guard members together. Here, Guy Gardner and Kyle Rayner become real close because they're partnered together. And later on, when John Stewart's doing more missions off of Earth, him and Guy Gardner get closer together as well, to a point where there's a time where John Stewart was captured with a bunch of other Green Lanterns, and they were being tortured for information that would get a bunch of other Green Lanterns compromised and killed out in the field. One Green Lantern was about to spill the beans on it, and John Stewart, he had to do what he had to do. He killed him. They escape, John Stewart doesn't get ahead of it, and when it comes out, he's accused of murder by the Alpha Lanterns. I told you about them, they're like the internal affairs. Guy is John Stewart's loudest supporter, he's vouching for him. Now the Lantern that was going to talk, he was still honored as a Green Lantern Corps member in this chamber where their dead lie. A bunch of Green Lanterns went down there to shatter his image. Guy Gardner gets wind of it. He gets down there and he's like, yo, what are y'all doing? He's like, oh, that guy doesn't deserve to be remembered as a Green Lantern. He was gonna fucking give us up. And Guy Gardner tells them, yo, our job is to overcome fear, but you don't know what's gonna happen to you when death is right there. He's telling them that could have been any of us. And they ask, oh, does that mean the famous Guy Gardner would have folded? And Guy Gardner tells them, what I'm telling you is to not be afraid of death makes you a fucking idiot. And if none of you have ever felt that fear, then go ahead, be the first one to smash this shit. I won't get in your way. Oh, ain't nobody saying shit, ain't nobody doing shit. All right, dismissed. When the trial is kind of rigged against John Stewart, which I'll explain later on in another video maybe, Guy Gardner comes to his aid, even though John didn't want it. The context of what John Stewart did wasn't given in court or shown in the footage, so they gave him the death sentence, and he's like, you know what? I'll take it. Guy Gardner, being his boy and all, he brought him his last meal. John's like, all right, cool, let's get this shit in. Lifts the lid and he sees there's a bunch of boxes of cereal. He's like, this doesn't look like the samosas, chicken tikka masala, and the garlic naan I ordered. Fuck's this about? I'm not making that up. That's actually what he wanted as his last meal. I didn't know your boy fucked with Indian food that heavy. Guy Gardner's like, yeah, that's all I had at my bar. And John Stewart's like, I told you I don't want no breakout. So whatever you got planned for tomorrow. And Guy Gardner's like, oh, I ain't got a plan for tomorrow. He breaks him out then and there on the fucking spot as a ship crashes in to come and free him. And I find it so ironic that in the 80s and the 90s, they're trying to make Guy the like loner, the tough bravado macho guy, the loudmouth. In wrestling, there's a term called over, as in the audience is rocking with you. I don't think that stuff really got him over. It made him seem more one note, to me at least. What did get him over is all these different relationships he has with his fellow Corps members. You can let him be a gruff person, cool, but let him be an actual fucking person though. He got more over when he showed that he cared. And giving him some genuine badass moments helped a lot as well. When Superboy Prime was going crazy in Infinite Crisis, Guy Gardner was the first in line to check that kid. He wasn't outgunned because he had the big gun Green Lantern ring, but he was outmanned, but that man didn't give a damn. And you see his people come up to support him, and Guy Gardner supports his people too. That's what I love most about him, especially his relationship with John Stewart. Now, Guy Gardner is known as a stubborn one, but John Stewart can be stubborn as well when he believes in something. He did not want to go on this jailbreak. Guy Gardner had to physically force him and even knock him out in order to get him to charge his power ring. When John came to, Guy Gardner was trying to apologize. He's like, yeah. Deck that man in the face. Guy Gardner was like, all right, I deserve that. But John told him, yeah, you also deserve this too, and helps him up because he's like, yo, I was being an idiot. You were right. There's a scene where they're talking in Guy's bar on Oa, and John Stewart is putting together a big structure from all these little toothpicks because he's an architect. And I love this scene because as they're talking, this little disagreement happens in his bar. Guy Gardner goes and tries to defuse the situation, and then he sits down, and John Stewart's telling him, that's not really like you. He's like, you know what? I'm turning a new page. This is the more calm, cool, and relaxed Guy Gardner. John Stewart's like, 12 o'clock. He throws up a little shield to protect Guy Gardner because somebody threw a beer. Guy Gardner's like, thank you. John Stewart's like, we done turning pages though? He's like, yeah, I'm done. And then the whole bar fight breaks out, and John is right there fighting beside Guy Gardner. And when John Stewart becomes the leader of the Green Lantern Corps, Guy Gardner's the one that makes sure everybody listens to what the fuck this man has to say. Guy Gardner's basically Dennis Rodman. He does the dirty job so John ain't gotta do that shit. He gets everybody in order and everybody in line. So much so that when they started working with the Sinestro Corps, because the former Green Lantern, Serenic Natu, is now in charge of them and has turned them over to a force of good, they're now working side by side with the Green Lanterns. But this is years of history where these motherfuckers ain't like each other. John's like, I don't know how we're gonna get people to fall in line. Guy Gardner's like, He leaves. Guy Gardner goes and finds Arkillo, the fucking biggest, baddest member of the Sinestro Corps. I told you how Kilowog is a trainer of the Green Lantern Corps. Arkillo is a trainer of the Sinestro Corps. Guy Gardner takes it upon himself to go and find Arkillo. No power ring on. And he sits and he waits for him. Let me show you how big this man Arkillo is. Yeah. Guy Gardner tells Arkillo, man, I ain't ever waited this long to throw hands. Look, so maybe you didn't hear the news. The Green Lanterns and the Yellow Lanterns are going to start working together. So we're rounding up all Sinestro's goons and asking them, hey, you on or getting the fuck off this ride? And I want to start with you. Arkillo's like, what, did you bring a squad of Green Lanterns with you? And Gardner tells him, I ain't even bring my ring. See, everybody sees you like Kilowog, probably because you're both big and ugly and train everyone. I see you differently. I mean, yeah, you both ugly, but you're loyal. You'll take all the hits so your boss doesn't have to, and he keeps in the clear. Arkillo is extremely loyal to Sinestro, because he gave him a purpose. That purpose is to instill order through fear. Guy Gardner's like, cool, and my man's getting ready to whoop some ass because he's like, all right, the way you feel about the Yellows and Sinestro, that's the way I feel about the Green Lanterns and John. That makes me the meanest green to ever wear the uniform. So you're not like Kilowog. You're like me, and there's only room for one of me. Shout out to Robert Venditti, because he was writing this note. This is who Guy Gardner is. This is who he's supposed to fucking be. He tells Arkillo, yo, princess, take off the jewelry so we can get the fuck down. Arkillo tells him, yo, I'm gonna fucking festoon on your intros. And he's like, alright, my translator might be messing up. Yo, did you say festoon? What kind of fucking word is festoon? Apparently this motherfucker's smart. And he's ready to get it rocking, because he takes off his ring and he decks Guy Gardner right in the fucking face. Guy is bloody, on the ground, out. Arkillo's looking at him like, is that gonna be all? And as Guy Gardner's laying on the ground bloody, he's remembering back to his childhood when he had a bloody nose because of his father coming home angry, saying that the house looked like a pigsty. Guy is the son of an abusive father. Guy wakes up, chucks something at Arkillo's head and tells him, hey, princess, we ain't done yet. And they get fucking scrapping. I'm talking, this might be the bloodiest fight scene I've seen in DC Comics. Arkillo must be a fucking Ludacris fan because he is throwing bows on this man, Guy Gardner. And Guy Gardner's just like, wait. I got a question. My man having a talk in the middle of a brawl? Arkillo's like, I ain't no fucking science teacher. Ain't no pop quiz here, man. Ain't no answer for this. There ain't no answer for this ass whooping I'm giving you. Guy Gardner's like, I just wondering if the sparring's done, if we getting ready for a fucking brawl, because that's what the fuck I'm here for. That man spills Arkillo through a fucking pillar, has some shit collapsing around him. He's like, yeah, I'm warmed up now. All the while remembering the words that his father was saying to him when he was young and defenseless and couldn't even fight fucking back. Back on Oa, John Stewart and Saranac Natu, the leader of the Yellow Lantern Corps now, got wind of this and he's like, yo, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Runs to Guy's aid. John gets on the planet and he's trying to scan and find Guy and Arkillo. Guy got Arkillo leaking ketchup from his fucking head. He's like, okay. Arkillo lets him know, yeah, there's a difference between being willful and a fucking fool. Guy Gardner's like, yeah, well, I never listen. He's like, oh, you refuse to use your ears? And then he starts trying to rip off Guy Gardner's ears. Guy Gardner takes one of Arkillo's fingers and it breaks it. And he's looking at Arkillo like, did you just pull my fucking ears? What are you gonna pull next, my hair? Arkillo's trying to fix this shit like, nah, I'm gonna take your tongue out next, man. I never heard someone talk so much during a fight before. Guy Gardner lets him know, oh, that's because you ain't from Baltimore. Arkillo's like, okay, Baltimore, cool. Maybe I'll visit there after I'm done whooping your ass. And it's funny because through this talking, there's a bit of a begrudging respect happening between the two. Now, these guys are galaxies away from Kinshasa, but it's looking like Ali versus Foreman right here because Arkillo's fucking big and he's laying into Guy and he's asking him, yo, you done yet? You good? But Guy's giving that shit right back to Arkillo, letting him know, yo, you ain't hitting hard enough. They told me you was a dangerous man. You ain't dangerous. You ain't nothing. Now, John Stewart and Saranac Natu finally arrive on the scene. Saranac goes to intervene and John's like, no, Guy wanted this fight. It has to end his way. I love this because you see the dynamic between John and Guy Gardner. John knows how Guy operates. He ain't even got to say a fucking word. This is Apollo Creed telling Rocky, don't you throw that fucking towel in. Meanwhile, Arkillo is choking the life out of Guy Gardner. My Guy Gardner ain't ever seen Cars 3 or know about Lightning McQueen, but they have something in common because they're both fading and fading fucking fast. And it's when Arkillo tells him, yeah, embrace how weak you are, that Guy Gardner remembers his father again. Arkillo's talking that cash shit, but all Guy Gardner sees and hears is his father telling him how weak he is, telling him to go ahead and cry. Think you're some big man? And that's the third thing Guy Gardner's always had to deal with. That abuse from his father. And he punches Arkillo in the face and rips his fucking eye out. Arkillo's on the ground, bleeding out, holding his eye in his hand. And Guy Gardner's talking about, I bet you're wondering how I could take all this shit, right? It's all in the parroting. Old man, he was a drunk. He liked to hit. And as he's lighting Arkillo the fuck up, he tells him, I've never took a punch that hurt as bad as any he gave. Guy Gardner's gone to a dark place. All he sees is his father as he hits Arkillo. And he's telling him, say it, say it, say it. And Arkillo says what Guy Gardner needed to hear in order to get him to stop. I yield. Guy Gardner is bleeding out. Internal injuries abound. And he's like, yeah, you damn right you do. He falls into John Stewart's arms. He's telling John, yo, let the whole gang know. You tell him who the champ is. He's like, you the champ. You're the champ, Guy. Guy says he needs to take a nap for a bit. And then he closes his eyes. And he ain't waking up. When they bring Arkillo to the Owen cells where all the other Yellow Lantern members are given a choice if they want to join or not, they see what was done to him. And they're asking, how many Green Lanterns did you need to jump on him like that? John Stewart's like, only one. They're like, nah, lies. Saranac Natu backs it up like, yeah, it was just one. They're like, yo, who did it? He's like, the only Lantern that could. And as everyone's standing around Guy Gardner in the hospital bed, he wakes up. He's like, who died? John Stewart's like, yo, you are a crazy motherfucker. What were you thinking? And Guy tells him, I know you wanted them to make nice. There was only one way that was going to happen. This shit prison rules, man. You got to get the biggest motherfucker in the yard and take him out. John's like, God damn, all right, you made your point. John gives Guy Arkillo's tooth saying, yo, Cabby got it for you. He stole his ride to go and find Arkillo. He's like, he said he might be wanted as a trophy. And Guy's looking at it, and here's where the writing is really good with Guy Gardner, because if this was the 80s, he wouldn't have given a fuck. Yo, I beat the big guy, yo. He did what Batman did to him, just more bloody, with more stakes on the line. But instead of just leaving it at that, Guy goes and finds Arkillo in the Owen cell, and he sits next to him, and he gives him a toothpick, like, yo, Serena could probably put it back together for you. He basically apologizes to Arkillo, saying, yo, we're probably two lanterns that probably understand each other the best. Guy's like, I could say I'm sorry, and I let my baggage get the best of you and make you take it too far, but you ain't trying to hear that. What I will say then is, hey, I can't wait to start busting bad guys with you. And I love this for Guy Gardner, because this is the first time we've ever seen him go to this place where he go to his father's abuse as fucking fuel to get through a fight. Maybe it's what he's always used for all these years, and he knows that about himself. It's our first time seeing it, but the fact that he feels bad about going to that place then in order to get the job done, that's something new we've never seen from Guy Gardner before. And after that, when the Green Lanterns and Yellow Lanterns are still fighting, he and Arkillo come out of the infirmary. They're like, are you guys serious? Get it fucking together. And they're the ones that get them working together. And after that, Arkillo and Guy become partners together, and they're great fucking friends. So much so that when there's a split between the Yellow Lanterns and Green Lanterns again, they refuse to fight each other. Like, well, you throw the first punch. No, you throw the first punch. Like, I'm not going to be responsible for ruining another friendship. Well, neither am I. From the 80s to the 90s, Guy Gardner was depicted as a hothead, but showing off his loyalty from the 2000s moving forward gave him so much more as a character and made him so much more well-rounded. He's still loud and vocal about things that he thinks are wrong, which is fine. He's not just loud to be loud anymore. He compliments his friends now. He's no longer in competition with everybody and getting in his own way. And his input is valued now. A great example of this is during a situation where Ganthet the Guardian was captured by the controllers. Guy Gardner, Hal Jordan, Kyle Rayner, and John Stewart were deciding, all right, what's the best course of action? Are we going to charge in there by ourselves, or should we go and get backup? John Stewart's the leader, and he's asking for everybody's opinion. Kyle says, I think we should get backup. Hal Jordan agrees, which is a first. John Stewart asks Guy Gardner for his opinion, and Guy says, there's 4 walls in a house, 4 legs on a table, and 4 seats in a Mustang GT. We're the Four Horsemen. You don't screw with what works. Everybody's like, oh shit, my man just got profound. And John Stewart's like, he did it while doing a pro wrestling reference, because he's referencing the Four Horsemen from the WCW/NWA era of wrestling. And that got everybody fired up, like, all right, let's get this shit going. They charge into the Citadel to attack the controllers and get Ganthet back. Forces they run into have some powerful weapons that's fucking them up. And we see how much Guy Gardner has grown as he jumps in front of Hal Jordan to take a hit that was intended for him. Hal Jordan, who he's usually always fighting with, but that's what siblings do sometimes. And when John Stewart checks on Guy Gardner, he's like, yeah, that shit hurt. He admits, he's like, if it's all the same to you, I think I'm gonna hang back a little bit. But they ain't no time to rest. They gotta get on their feet and get the fuck up out of there. Kyle's like, yo, Guy, you okay? He's like, yeah, I've had hangovers that left me feeling worse. And now they're behind enemy lines, pinned down with no way out. John's asking Hal, how's it look? Hal creates a little telescope. They shoot that shit down. He's like, all right, it ain't looking good, man. Yeah, they're officially pinned down, and they only have a few minutes before they recalibrate their weapons for another shot. They all look to John Stewart, and they ask, all right, John, what are we gonna do? How are we getting out of this? John Stewart looks at his boys and says, 4 legs on a table. Hal Jordan says, 4 walls on a house. Kyle Rayner says, 4 seats in a Mustang GT. And Guy Gardner, smiling, throws up the Four Horsemen 4 and says, the only good thing I ever did was be your friend. And with that, they rush into the fucking fire. Now the controllers, they think they've won, that the Green Lanterns, they've been able to tame them. And Ganthet starts laughing his ass off. And he's like, what the fuck? Why are you laughing? Ganthet's like, you think you can tame these motherfuckers? Do you know how many times these people do not listen to me? Earth Lanterns don't give a fuck, and you think they're gonna listen to you? Oh, okay. And just as he says that, they come busting in to save their guardian. Guy Gardner's come a long way from being punched in the face by Batman and known as a joke for nearly 20 years. He went from being an asshole to, he's just a little bit of an asshole. And all it took was getting him to connect with people. And in doing so, he finally got that recognition that he was desperate for. He finally got that chance to lead as well. Yeah, he's brash. Yeah, he acts out. And yeah, he goes with his gut a lot. But that's because he's doing what he thinks is right, no matter what anyone else thinks on the matter. And Guy Gardner got love for his people. When he was teaming with Kyle Rayner and Kyle Rayner died and his ring was going away, he held that shit in place, giving Serenity Natu, the doctor of the Green Lantern Corps, more time to save Kyle's life. He cares for his people. He even killed the dude that killed Kyle Rayner's girlfriend, Major Force, because he did some shit to his brother too. Kyle Rayner had the chance to kill him. He didn't take it. Guy Gardner did, and Kyle Rayner didn't stop him. Kyle had his reasons for not doing it, but Guy had his reasons for doing it, and he told Kyle, yo, look, some people are meant to be heroes, others are meant to be warriors. But even that's changed because when he's wearing a Green Lantern ring, he don't kill. He's not quick to use lethal force. And when he was signed up for a Black Ops mission with the Green Lantern Corpses, he wasn't with just being out here and just killing enemies like that. He's become a well-rounded character. You gotta put respect on Guy Gardner's name. He's tough! And if you need more reason to fuck with him, you know that famous author that won the Hugo Award, multiple Hugo Awards, N.K. Jemisin? This is her favorite Green Lantern. I did an interview with her and I was surprised as fuck when she said that, but also real happy because, yo, he's come a long way. He deserves it. And that concludes my deep dive on the Green Lantern Corps' 4 original Earth Green Lanterns. Thank y'all for watching these things entirely through because they take so long to make. But if you're rocking with it, then so am I. And I like to do some more deep dives. I think the next one I want to do is a look at Sinestro and Hal Jordan's relationship. And I'll cover some Green Lanterns you might not know about because they call Hal Jordan the greatest Green Lantern, but there's a Green Lantern that's known as the mightiest Green Lantern, Muggo, and the ultimate Green Lantern, Sodom Yap. They might not be as known as these guys and the other Green Lanterns of Earth, but they deserve to have their story told as well. But please, let me know any other Green Lantern lore you want me to delve into, and I'll do my best.